Okay, so in this demonstration, I'm just going to go over how to make a simple slab. So we are forming a slab. A slab is a particular way that you use the clay that is helpful in building a lot of different things. I tend to be partial to slabs, although, as you know, you've already learned about the pinch pot method and the coil method. So the slab method isn't hard to put together. In fact, I'm gonna just go ahead and go over that with you now. What you need to do is grab a board, right? Again, you can use a cutting board from the kitchen, just something that's okay to use for your art project. Just something that's got pretty sturdy surface that you can pick up and move around. And the reason for this is because if you're in process of working on your project, you want to make sure that nothing happens to it. It's very easy to distort it, have things fall on it, you know, that kind of a thing. Just something that you most likely don't want to happen. So anyhow, and then the other thing that I have is I have a piece of canvas. If you do not have canvas at home, just be sure to grab maybe an old pillowcase or a sheet, something that's, you know, doesn't have any kind of texture on it that's furry or anything like that. A towel I definitely wouldn't recommend. Just some plain cotton kind of material will be fine. And you're gonna put that on top of the board. So that way, when you lift the clay slab off to turn it over and get the other side of it, it won't stick. Okay, so this time you guys should have a little over 2 pounds of clay. I'm gonna use about half of that I've got right here, just to get this slab formed. So again, this is about a little over a pound of the terracotta air dry clay. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take it like it is and put it right in the middle here. Now there's 2 ways you can create a slab. I prefer to use the method just with my hands. And if you want, you can also grab some kind of a rolling pin. That'll work. Typically, you would find this somewhere in your kitchen if you have one. If you don't have a rolling pin, anything that's cylindrical like this and that's elongated will work. That way you're able to use it in addition to just using your hands to roll this thing out. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use your hands and where you don't even need a rolling pin. So what you're going to do is use this part of your palm, the very bottom, but you can also switch off and use the side of your hand as well. So the first method I'm going to show you with is actually going to be the side of the hand. So I'm going to take this and I'm actually going to just put my weight into it. I'm going to use my muscles and I'm going to go ahead and start to flatten this piece of clay. This should already be wedged. Again, I can go over wedging really quick, so let's just do that. So again, wedging, you're going to push forward, roll back, push forward, roll back. Okay, and you don't have to get super fancy with it. You just need to make sure that you're getting air pockets out. That's the whole reason why you even wedge in the first place. It's just to get the clay even and to get those air pockets out. Okay. And right now, you know, it's looking pretty good. It doesn't have to be completely flattened out right now. Again, we're just kind of rotating it. And we're just getting those air pockets out. Okay. So just leave it be for now on the canvas, and you're going to go ahead and get ready to basically compress it with your hand using all of your muscle. So I'm going to show you here using the side of your hand first. So far I've got something like this, okay? You can keep doing this and kind of getting it to spread forward and then spread back. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and angle this down a little bit so you can see better. it's really a matter of just getting this flattened. Now the thing is, you don't want to flatten this too much. You want to leave anywhere from 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch left on it, you know, as far as thickness. So just make sure that it's 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick. We're almost there already with this side. I'm actually going to take this, you notice I just pulled it off of the cloth. Again, that's why you have the cloth, is just, if it were just on the board like this, it would probably stick a little bit. It'll come off, but it won't be as smooth. So you want to make sure that you stick it on top of the canvas when you're doing that. So I pulled it off. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to this side, because before you're only working with one side, you need to make sure that it's even on both sides. And this is just your basic slab. You can always add more clay to this. This is just a small amount of clay, and again, I'm just using this for a demonstration so that you understand. The other thing you can do is rotate and use now the palm of your hand, but just use the bottom part. This should not hurt you at all, by the way. It only takes a little bit of strength to compress it. It's just kind of up to you how much you want to put into it, but you don't have to go too hard on it, okay? So anyone can do this. So that and that. Okay. The other thing you can do is, again, use a rolling pin or some sort of cylindrical object, you know, that's elongated like this. It could be even part of a PVC pipe. That would actually be fine if you happen to have that laying around. And you just put it on here and you just roll back and forth. If you prefer doing it this way and you don't want to use your hand, that's fine. It's just a personal preference. I'll go ahead and roll that out. And it works really nice. I'm just not one to naturally grab an object to roll out. I usually just use my hands, but the rolling pin is nice, and actually it works really well with the air dry clay. I don't know what it is, but it just seems to work really, really well. Okay, and I'll show you what I've got so far. Looking good. And I'm gonna, again, pick it up off the cloth. Thickness is good. We're good here. We don't want to go much thinner now. Okay, now there is something that you do want to try and do. Grab a butter knife, because this is something that you're going to want to use just to trim the ends. Now, if you're purposely using something like this, like an oval shaped or circular shaped slab for a project, that's fine. You can just kind of leave it as such, but it is always nice to trim the ends and clean them up. So let's say that I want to make this more into a square shape. I can go ahead and take my butter knife and I can actually trim the edges. I'm going to tuck this so you guys can see a little bit better. I'm going to kind of center this so it's a little more even. And I'm actually eyeballing this. It's always good to have a ruler nearby, but again, for the sake of just demonstration, I'm just going to eyeball it and just show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and get the knife on here and just press down so I get a nice clean edge. And the stuff, it's a little bit plasticky. Again, it doesn't come right off the knife, but it will. Not a big deal. Okay, there it goes. It's removed now. And then as far as the sides, you're going to do the same thing. I'm going to show you that. So there's that edge taken off, and here's the sides. Okay. So here's part of a side, but I'm going to actually pull the rest off once I finish cutting the square shape. And again, I'm just eyeballing this right now. If you have a different kind of knife handy, you can use that too. It's just a better knife is, again, it's definitely safer. You won't have to worry about any accidents, so that's always a good thing. I'm just going to continue to slice through here. All right, and here we are. I'm going to go ahead and pick this up now that I've sliced through it with a butter knife. A little square here, okay? And as you can see, it's nice and even, okay? Each side is roughly the same thickness. And this is about where you want your slabs. No matter if you're making an entire relief canvas to put stuff on, or if you're gonna actually take these slabs and say eventually build with them and have them upright and scored on a base, you can do that too. Slabs are just, you know, they're very versatile, and also you can take this and say cut it in half and have smaller slabs. It's also good to make a large one ahead of time, and then that way you're just cutting pieces off. No matter what though, just like with any kind of clay that you might be using, you need to make sure that you don't leave it out in the air for too long because it will start to dry out. Now this stuff has a little more time in regard to drying out. If we were using actual clay that we would normally use in ceramics, it would definitely dry out rather quickly. The air dry clay just doesn't seem to dry out as much. So anyhow, this is a basic slab. And from here, again, you can build with these, or you could have made a large one and then say it's for a relief piece and then you're adding to it. So that is how you create a slab.